She stirred a spoonful of sleeping pills into the soup, not enough to raise suspicion, but enough to keep him out cold all evening. Martha's eyes didn't waver. Her hands were steady. Her heart felt frozen in her chest, as if it hadn't truly beaten in years. "Dinner's almost ready," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. "You must be hungry, Clive." A grunt came from the living room. He didn't even look up from the sports channel. As usual. Martha smiled. Tonight was his last supper. It all began 5 years ago with that photograph. In it, her daughter Emily lay in a hospital bed, pale, hollow-eyed, barely there. Beside her stood Clive, her brother, grinning with a coffee cup in hand, as if he'd just stepped out of a movie theater, not a dying niece's room. A nurse had sent the photo, accidentally, or maybe not. He didn't even ask how she was feeling, she'd written. Just took a picture and left. Emily died 3 days later. Cancer. 28 years old. Left behind a husband, 2 small children, and a mother who'd forgotten how to cry. Clive didn't come to the funeral. Said he was too busy. The next day, he posted a photo from the golf course. Hashtag new personal best. Martha said nothing then. No calls. No messages. She simply deleted his number, removed him from every family group chat, and never spoke his name aloud again. But she remembered. Every word. Every gesture. Every lie. And she decided, one day he would pay. Not with money. Not with tears. But with what he valued most, comfort. That quiet, consequence-free life he'd so carefully curated, free of responsibility, free of pain. He didn't know that revenge isn't a scream. It's a whisper. Not a blow, but the silence just before it lands. First, Martha began collecting. Not evidence, connections. She knew Clive worked for an insurance firm. Steady paycheck. Mortgage on a suburban house. A wife named Linda. 2 teenage sons. He loved weekend grilling, watched only sports, and despised anything that demanded real emotion. He was the perfect middle-aged American, polite, confident, and utterly hollow inside. Martha didn't rush. Revenge takes time. Patience. She created a new email. A fresh social media profile. Faked a name, a phone number, even her voice when calling institutions. She uncovered everything, his clients, his projects, his boss, his neighbors, even who washed his car. One day, she learned Clive had applied for a promotion. Management was hesitant. He was competent, but lacks empathy, the review read. Martha smiled. Her opening. She sent an anonymous letter to HR, wrote it as a concerned relative whose daughter had died of cancer while Clive mocked her in a family chat. She included doctored screenshots, convincing, not obvious. Fabricated quotes. Faked therapy notes about toxic emotional detachment in the family. A week later, Clive was denied the promotion. He fumed. Drank more. Yelled at his wife more often. Neighbors started complaining about the noise. Martha read it all on social media, local forums, customer reviews. She watched. Like a shadow. But that wasn't enough. She wanted him to feel it. Not just lose a job, but lose respect. Trust. His family. She knew Linda was kind but exhausted. That she'd tolerated his coldness for years. That she dreamed of moving to the coast. That once, she texted a friend, "Sometimes I wonder if he's even capable of love." Martha created a fake profile. Posed as a licensed therapist. Reached out to Linda, citing an anonymous family referral. Offered a free session on marital emotional burnout. Linda agreed. During the call, Martha gently, but firmly, suggested, "Many women in your situation don't realize their husbands are functional narcissists. Not evil. Just empty." Linda broke down crying. A month later, she filed for divorce. Clive was stunned. He bought flowers, cooked dinner, even got a puppy. But it was too late. Linda was already reading books on toxic relationships. Already talking to a lawyer. Already planning a new life. Martha watched it unfold like a film she'd directed herself. Still, it wasn't enough. She wanted him to understand. To hear the same question that had haunted her for 5 years. Why didn't anyone help? So she planned the dinner. Clive had been alone for 6 months. His house was neglected, grass uncut, mail piled at the door. He wore the same t-shirt for 3 days straight. Martha called him for the first time in 5 years. "Hi, Clive." "It's Martha." He fell silent for several seconds. "Oh, hey. How are you?" "I'm living." "Same as you, I guess." "Yeah, well, you know." "Listen," she interrupted. "I've done a lot of thinking. About the past. About Emily. About us. And I've decided enough. It's been years. We're family. Let's at least share a quiet dinner. Like human beings." He was surprised, but he agreed. Maybe he hoped to rebuild something. Maybe he feared a lawsuit. Or maybe he was just lonely. He arrived at her house Saturday at 7, holding a bottle of wine, wearing a button-down shirt, forcing a nervous smile. "Thanks for coming," Martha said, taking the bottle. "The soup's almost ready." They sat, talked about the weather, the news, how Emily's kids were growing up. Not a word about the past. Not a word about grief. Clive ate, complimented the soup, said, "Tastes just like old times." Martha stayed silent. 20 minutes in, he began to yawn. His head drooped. He fought it, but the sedative worked fast. "What's happening?" he mumbled. "Nothing bad," Martha whispered. "Just rest a little." She helped him onto the living room couch, tucked a blanket around him, placed a glass of water nearby, then turned on the projector. The wall lit up. First, photos of Emily as a child. Then school. Graduation. Her wedding day. Holding her newborn. And finally, the hospital. That last photo. Taken by the nurse. The one. Then audio clips. Emily's voice, weak but clear. Uncle Clive never came. He said he doesn't believe in hospital ghosts. Mom cried all night. I just wanted to hear him say, "I'm here." Then footage from the funeral. Martha at the casket. Emily's children in black. Her widower, fists clenched. And the empty space where Clive should have stood. Then his social media posts. Golf. Barbecues. Memes. All in chronological order, right up to the day of the funeral. Martha didn't speak. She just waited for him to wake. Clive opened his eyes at dawn. Head pounding. Mouth dry. He sat up, looked around. The wall was dark. On the table a note. "You didn't kill her. But you let her die alone. Tonight, you were seen. I hope it's enough. Don't call me. Say goodbye to Emily yourself." He sat on the couch for 2 hours. Didn't move. Didn't cry. Just sat. Then he left. A week later, he bought a ticket to New York. Visited Emily's widower for the first time in 5 years. Brought flowers. Apologized. Not for everything. Just for not being there. He started visiting Emily's children. Took them on walks. Helped with homework. Never talked about himself. Just listened. Martha found out. From her grandson. He sent her a photo, Clive playing chess with him in the backyard. She deleted the photo. Didn't reply. But that night, for the first time in 5 years, she allowed herself to cry. Not from pain. But because revenge, it turns out, can also be a form of healing.